The big money math in America is wild. The wealthiest 1% have more wealth than the entire bottom 90%. In 2017, the trio of Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, and Warren Buffett owned more than the entire lower half of the American population combined. That's 160 million folks, or 63 million households. Fast forward to the end of 2018 with the 25 wealthiest Americans sitting on $1.1 trillion. That's like throwing together 14.3 million average Joes' salaries. But here's when it gets really insane. While the regular Joes had to cough up $143 billion in federal income tax, the club of the 25 richest billionaires paid a mere $1.9 billion. Those are some cold, hard truths about the wealth gap in the land of opportunity. According to the data published by the Congressional Budget Office back in 1989, when The Simpsons first hit our screens, the bottom 50% of Americans held 4% of the nation's wealth pie. Fast forward 3 decades, and now they're left with a measly 2%. Meanwhile, the middle and upper middle class folks between 50% and 90% of the income distribution went from enjoying 1/3 of the pie to 26% in 2019. On the flip side, the top 10% are living their best lives, grabbing more than 2/3 of the total wealth, with the top 1% pocketing most of those gains. The wealth gap. It's like a time-traveling Simpsons episode, but way less funny. Why and how is the wealth gap getting wider? In this video, we're diving into how the super rich manage to dodge taxes and rake in piles of cash, and why ordinary folks can't copy-paste those tricks. So stay tuned as we break down this financial puzzle, and as always, don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos like this coming your way. A seriously eye-opening study on America's wealth gap was done in 2021, courtesy of the Brainiacs over at ProPublica. Armed with IRS data, these Pulitzer Prize-winning investigative journalism maestros went full Sherlock, dug into tax records of big shots like Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, and Warren Buffett, found out these billionaires are playing the tax game like pros, often paying next to nothing on their massive fortunes. The result? An ever-widening chasm between the mega-rich and the rest of us. In 2007, Jeff Bezos was sitting on a pile of over $8 billion, and not a single penny of that went towards federal income taxes. Lightning struck twice, and he pulled off the same stunt in 2011. Fast forward to 2018, and Elon Musk was worth nearly $20 billion, yet Uncle Sam didn't see a dime of it. Michael Bloomberg pulled off this tax vanishing act too. The billionaire investor Carl Icahn did it twice. And then there's George Soros, the tax Houdini who somehow managed to pay no federal income taxes for 3 years in a row. Now that's what you call a financial magic show. So here's a fun little game to grasp how the big shots handle their money. Let's compare the taxes they paid to how much their wealth ballooned over the same period. The maestros at ProPublica cooked up this nifty ratio and called it the true tax rate. You won't believe it if you compare the true tax rates for the richest Americans with the middle-class Americans. The 25 richest billionaires saw their piggy banks inflate by a jaw-dropping $401 billion from 2014 to 2018. During those 5 years, they did their civic duty and threw $13.6 billion into the federal income tax pot. Sounds like a big chunk, right? But wait. That's a true tax rate of just 3.4%. Meanwhile, middle-class Americans riding the wave of their home values going up saw an average net worth boost of around $65,000. But guess what? They paid nearly $62,000 in taxes, mostly from their salary grind. Crunch those numbers, and you'll see their true tax rate is over 95%. Welcome to the wild world of tax brackets. Think about Bezos' 2007, the year he pulled a disappearing act on federal income taxes. Amazon stock doubled in value, and Bezos' wallet got a hefty $3.8 billion upgrade. But how does a guy riding the wealth wave of the century manage to dodge Uncle Sam's tax man? That same year, Bezos, who filed his taxes with his then-wife Mackenzie Scott, disclosed $46 million in income. mainly from interest and dividend payments on investments outside of Amazon. Now here's where it gets cheeky. Every dime he made got a magic disappearing act thanks to the losses from other investments and scoring some nifty deductions such as interest expenses on debts. In 2011, when Bezos was worth about $18 billion, he pulled a tax return move almost as slick as Amazon's one-day delivery. He claimed he lost money. Yeah. Thanks to some investment losses, his income took a hit, so he reported a loss. He cried financial distress and scored a $4,000 tax credit for his kids. That's right, the guy who's basically swimming in money managed to get a tax break. Examining a longer stretch from 2006 to 2018 puts Jeff Bezos' tax shenanigans into perspective. During this time, his wealth shot up by a whopping $127 billion. The jaw-dropping $1.4 billion he paid in federal tax during this time seems like a megabuck, right? But when you do the math, that's just a teeny tiny 1.1% of the increase in his fortune. The concept of your everyday income tax, let alone taxing wealth, wasn't included in America's founding documents. Article 1 of the U.S. Constitution prohibits slapping citizens with direct taxes under most circumstances. So, for decades, the U.S. government funded itself through indirect taxes such as tariffs and taxes on stuff like tobacco and booze. In the late 1800s and early 1900s, the federal government started expanding, setting up agencies left and right to monitor food, workers, and whatnot. But hey, these things needed cash. Problem was, the Supreme Court had rejected an 1894 law that would have created an income tax. So Congress was like, fine, we'll play by your rules, and decided to tweak the Constitution instead. In 1913, the 16th Amendment was ratified, giving Uncle Sam the green light to tax incomes, no matter where they come from. At first, the income tax game worked as intended, hitting the rich. In 1918, only 15% of American families were on Uncle Sam's tax radar, and the top 1% footed 80% of the income tax revenue. But then came the big question. What exactly counts as income? And what's off the tax hook? In 1920, the Supreme Court ruled that income only rolls in when you cash in on your assets. So if you're not cashing out on stocks, bonds, or real estate, Uncle Sam's not knocking on your door for a slice of the pie. That's right, the golden rule of the US tax game: no cashing out, no taxing out. Wages, dividends, and asset sales are all fair game for the taxman. But if you're just sitting on your assets like a financial couch potato, you have no income and therefore pay no income taxes. One of the loudest critics of the 1920 Supreme Court ruling was Cordell Hull, the congressman hailed as the father of the income tax. He basically said, "Hey guys, watch out. Tax dodging is about to become as common as squirrels in a park." This ruling opened a massive loophole, letting business big shots create companies, borrow against their stocks, and live the high life without paying Uncle Sam a dime. Fast forward a few decades and Hull's crystal ball moment hits full throttle. We're talking mega corporations like Apple and Google and the centy billionaires like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos cashing in on the tax game. The past may be gone, but its quirky tax loopholes still linger. The grind is real for most Americans. They work hard, they get their paycheck, and Uncle Sam swoops in for his slice. Uncle Sam sees pretty much every cent they make as income, and taxes vanish straight from their checks. But then there are the Bezoses of the world. These big shots don't need to rely on a salary. Bezos, for example, keeps his Amazon salary at a modest $80,000 a year. Steve Jobs once took home a base salary of $1 back in the 90s. Zuckerberg, Ellison, and Larry Page have all joined the I'll work for a dollar club. Why? Well, it's all about the tax game. America's top 25 richest billionaires reported $158 million in wages in 2018. That's just 1.1% of the total income on their tax returns. The rest came from the dividends and cashing in on their investments in stocks, bonds, and the whole shebang, which are taxed at a lower rate than your run-of-the-mill paycheck. Just like Congressman Hull predicted, the super rich usually hang on to shares in the companies they started. Many billionaires are sitting on treasure chests of what they call unrealized gains. Warren Buffett's got a tighter grip on his Berkshire Hathaway than a toddler holding their favorite toy. Between 2015 and 2018, his reported yearly income was between $11.6 million and $25 million. That might sound like a lot, but in 2015 alone, over 14,000 U.S. taxpayers reported higher incomes than Buffett. Seriously? The guy's the fourth richest in America, and people are out here making more than him while we're struggling to decide between generic or name brand cereal. Life's funny that way, huh? So you're probably wondering, how do these mega rich folks foot their mega expensive bills while claiming to survive on $1 salaries and clutching onto their stocks like they're the last piece of pizza at a party? The answer is borrowing money. Lots of it. For us regular folks, borrowing is usually just a means to an end, like buying a home or a car. But for the ultra-rich, it's like tapping into a money fountain without triggering that pesky income tax alarm. Imagine you're running a company and decide to treat yourself to a fat paycheck. Uncle Sam swoops in for a hefty 37% slice. If you sell off some stocks, 20% of your gains vanish into the tax abyss. Plus, kiss a chunk of control over your company goodbye. But slap on that billionaire thinking cap and opt for a loan instead. Nowadays, you're looking at single-digit interest rates and a big fat zero in the tax department. Why? Because loans don't count as income in the eyes of the IRS. Sure, banks might want some collateral, but when you're swimming in assets, it's no sweat off your back. In 2014, Oracle announced that its CEO, Larry Ellison, had a credit line secured by $10 billion of his shares. In 2020, Tesla reported Elon Musk pledging a whopping 92 million shares valued at around $57 billion as collateral for his personal loans. Then, we've got investor billionaire Carl Icahn, who paid no federal income tax in 2016 and 2017 despite his $544 million gross income. He had a loan of $1.2 billion from Bank of America, which was technically a mortgage, with Manhattan penthouse apartments and other properties as collateral. Icahn reaps numerous advantages from borrowing. He gains substantial sums of cash to amplify his investment gains, and he can deduct the interest from his taxes. And that's how the wealth gap keeps growing. Wealth inequality is like that uninvited guest who just won't leave the party. President Joe Biden's 2020 campaign vowed to squeeze more taxes out of the rich. However, at least for his current term, that pledge met its demise with the 2023 debt ceiling agreement with the Republicans. Throwing in new, aggressive laws could very well spur new, clever, even more sophisticated tax avoidance tactics. It's like trying to plug one leak and another one springs up. Warren Buffett and his fellow billionaires have known this secret for a long time. After all, as Buffett put it in 2011, there's been class warfare going on for the last 20 years, and my class has won. Maybe you can't easily change your class, but you can still share your thoughts in the comments below. Smash the like button and subscribe to witness more financial puzzles solved. Until next time, keep laughing, keep learning, and maybe one day we'll all be in the 1%.